Welcome back to BBM. Today we have another car to show you, the Peugeot 908. So Steve, we've got that car about 3 years ago, and we got that car from the museum in Sochaux, in France. So what has been the journey since you got that car?
It's been a long journey. We've been to the factory learning the systems, been to the factory learning the procedures, been to the factory learning how everything goes, how everything is rebuilt.
So you can say then you've had a lot of support from Peugeot Sport, which has given you the knowledge now to be able to work on this car yourself at the factory in Daventry and be able to run those cars.
Yeah. The factory's been brilliant. They've stood by us all the way, helped us. They've been really supportive. They like the fact the cars are out again. They love the fact the cars are winning some races.
I mean, we're talking about historic racing, even if he's,
It's still racing.
He's still racing, and
still gets your heart going.
So what has that car done so far?
We've done a few rounds in Europe. We did the first race in Spa, who was on pole. Mm-hmm. We've done Silverstone Classic. We've done Monza. We went over to Daytona this year. And
so it wasn't with that car, Daytona. So let's say there is one of those cars, which is a chassis 10, that has gone and raced at Daytona and Sebring, actually won both races. And you gave support to the team in America, so they are operational now to be able to run the car themselves.
Yeah, so they bought chassis 10 off us. Some of the team come to Europe. We ran the car for 3 or 4 events over here, Spa, Silverstone, taught the guys how the car worked, the procedures, what to do, what not to do, when to do it. And then they took it to America. We went over and supported them in America as a standoff handover. So we'd handed it over in Europe and then went to America just in case there was a problem.
It's pretty cool because you're giving knowledge that you've gathered from Peugeot Sport.
Yeah.
So you're fully operational with that now. Actually, I've got to say, you must know the car inside out. It's like you've been working on all your life on this car.
I know it pretty well because in Peugeot they had about 20 departments. Each department had their piece: steering, gearbox, uprights, sub-assembly, cockpit, fuel system, engine. They have a system
in place. So this car that we see now, what has been done to that car since you? I know that this car was rebuilt fully operational by Peugeot Sport before he ended up in Daventry. But since then, what happened?
When we first got it, we stripped the suspension off, stripped the fuel tanks out, fitted new fuel tanks because they were out of date. I mean, it was fully rebuilt, like you say, from Peugeot, but then it sat for a number of years. So we put a new fuel tank in to bring it into date. We crack test the suspension and the brakes and the steering, the safety systems.
You dismantled the car and near enough. That's what you did, just to make sure that as a car sit down for a long time, you never know what can go wrong. So to make sure that the car can run safely. And then the electronic is up to date.
The ECUs have been sent away and serviced. All the electronics have been serviced.
And everything you're doing, you're using the same supplier, don't you?
Yes. We endeavour to. Some suppliers are not there anymore. But we've got a vast stockpile of parts from Peugeot. And we go as far as we can to use original parts. 3 days searching for O-rings for the power steering, but it has to be done. They've been specially made for a reason. And this winter, you know, we ran the car for 18 months, and then this winter we fully stripped it. Again, crack test the wishbones, crack test all the steering,
check all the
safety.
systems, check the electronic, check everything.
But
What do you think when you look at that car, when you just walk on it? What is your feeling? Because it's a factory car and it's a special car, isn't it?
It's fascinating how far they go with engineering, how fine a detail everything is. All the workbooks, all the doc info, Peugeot called it. They had 3 people in charge of this. There's like 100,000 documents for how to build the brakes, how to build the calipers, where to cable tie the cable ties on the wishbone, how far away from the front the first cable tie is to the rear.
It's really meticulous, isn't it?
Yeah, torques, everything, the whole car we've got the torque list for, so everything on the car is torqued, sealed, we know it's okay. Mm-hmm. And if it isn't okay, then it must be a problem with the part because it's done like Peugeot did it.
What did it make you feel when to work on that car? Because I know how passionate you are with the work you do, and it's always nice to have something new to put your hands into.
There's 2 feelings. Firstly, it makes you feel old, because when I was doing my apprenticeship, we was racing against these.
Yes.
And I never thought I'd work on the same cars twice. Mm. You know, in Group C, you get people saying, I remember that car when I was a kid, and now I feel old. And I never thought about that until we got the Peugeots, and to work on the car that you used to race against. The first thing we did was take the rear body off and the front off and look at the cars and think, why did we try racing them with a roller? There's no chance.
Yeah, but it's just like a big difference between a factory team and a customer team.
And to beat them was just stupid. You know, you look at the detail and you look at the way they've gone about everything. Everything is tested, everything is tried and double tested, and you just don't stand a chance.
It's built from scratch, isn't it?
Yeah.
They just take a blank sheet of paper and they walk their way through reliability, performance, speed, test, comfort, whatever you can.
30-hour tests every week to make sure things didn't break. Well, you know, when we bought a roller, we thought we'd gone from TVRs to a roller and thought we was really good. And then when we got these last year, the year before, you just cannot comprehend the amount of detail and depth they went into to make such a project.
But saying that, it doesn't stop you being able to work on the car. You've got a lot of knowledge. You've worked on many car, Group C, sports car. I mean, this is the entity of BBM.
Yeah.
What they are is their niche. Yeah, is what they are expert at. So, doing this is giving even more strength to the company, because the knowledge has gone even further. There is one person actually that I used to work with, because I used to race these cars, know, and especially that one is the one who won Sebring 12 Hour and Petit Le Mans. Dakar has done Le Mans as well. He's got a special place in history because he's a winner of some very special event. And as well, me driving that car, I just never felt anything else better than this in my career. Just like the sheer power you have with the diesel engine, which doesn't really feel like a diesel engine, because as soon as you go out of the pits and you take the speed limiter off, you can feel this V12 power and this torque coming out of the back like this. It's just like a kick all the time.
Everything's bespoke on this. They made their own gearbox, they made their own clutches, they made their own engines, they made their own uprights. There's nothing you can just go and look at a supplier and buy it off the shelf. The odd O-rings and seals, but everything is specially made for a purpose, for the car.
And you talk mechanical stuff, I talk the team itself. Yeah. It was such a big family. Yeah, it was like a massive family, and the driver were very involved into most of it. It was the comfort inside the cockpit. So whatever we needed, we just had to all gather together. It was Alex Wirtz, it was Sébastien Bourdais, Stéphane Sarrazin, Anthony Davidson, Marc Genet. There was Jacques Villeneuve, which I shared the car for 2 years with. We all put our input in it, so the comfort was very important. And as well, development, we were involved in it as well. So it was a big family, because in some team you don't get involved with some stuff. While at Peugeot Sport, we were really involved in everything that was happening.
For such a big team, we were very close.
Yes.
You know, we was like a family when we did Le Mans, but we had 5 staff, 10 staff.
And here we had like 250 people, you know, working like from maybe not the whole factory, but with all the supplier, with all the people coming outside and doing just the program. It was a wonderful era. And this car now is fully ready, all service, and ready to race in historic, isn't it?
Yeah. And we still have some of the staff, you know. Lionel, who worked at Peugeot in period, he's
doing all the system, isn't it?
Yeah, he's coming, he works here. He does all the electronics, all the systems. He's translating all the dock info, he's translating all the drawings. He liaises with Peugeot, because we still work with the factory now. So he liaises with those. We've bought a lot of spares off them. Some spares we didn't buy because they're associated with other projects. So we still buy and get parts supplied by Peugeot. We
It's
can go to all the
important to have all
original
those
suppliers.
parts, isn't it? There is like a spare engine, there is spare gearboxes, there is...
We've got engine, we've got gearboxes, we've got bodywork, we've got sensors, we've got pipes. Because everything's specially made for the car, you know, the little clips, you can't just buy one, you have to have 100 made.
Should we have a look underneath how it looks like a little bit?
Yeah,
So what I like to look again, because I'm never bored of it. Let's look at this engine. Steve, when I look at this, I'm never bored to look at this car. I mean, there is such a big engine at the back.
It's a big feat of engineering, but it's you don't have to be too daunted by it. Everything's labelled up simply. Everything's made for ease. It's a Le Mans car, so if you need to change something, you need to change it quick. Otherwise, you lose laps. So it looks complicated, and don't get me wrong, it is complicated deep down. But on the surface, it's quite simple, so stuff can be changed.
Complicated but well engineered, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have a Ricardo gearbox.
Yeah. We've been dealing with Ricardo for 18 months. They've been absolutely brilliant. Steve Blevins, who worked on the project, is still there, so he's reincarnated the project again. And we've built gearbox kits, service kits. We've had the gearboxes serviced with them. They're only 15 minutes up the road, so that's Ricardo's probably the best supplier we've had to go back to at the moment, just for ease. They're down the road, they've got all the drawings. We've sent them any drawings they've lost, and they've just got on with it and been really supportive.
So it's the same with the engine. There will be, we've got at BBM all that is needed to service the engine, but not at BBM, but with the people that used to do the engine in the past. So that's going to be the next step as well. When the engine is to be redone, there is no blockage there. You can redo engine. There is plenty of part with it.
Yeah, we've got a 2,000 square foot warehouse full of spares for the car. We've got spare blocks, spare heads, plenums, pistons, whatever we don't have spares of, we've got drawings.
Injectors.
Injectors, turbos, fuel pumps, turbos, almost everything. All the major parts you would need, fuel rail.
Okay.
But the bits we don't have, we've got every drawing for the car, every CAD model for the car, every supplier to the car.
So at least that way you don't get stuck. So the car has been, you can look at the, wishbones and draft shaft, gearbox, turbo has been serviced. The whole car has been serviced. Inside out, the wheels, if you look at the wheels, the
wheels are new, BBS.
They're brand new wheels that has been...
BBS supplied us some new wheels.
Yeah, you bought the wheels straight away from BBS, didn't you? And all the carbon has been looked after, and then I like to look as well when look inside that car. You have like quite a few electronic ECUs, but all those ECU have been back to Bosch or Magneti Marelli or...
Everything's been back to its original suppliers and everything's been serviced.
The steering wheel as well?
The steering wheel we service ourselves because Lionel, who we've took on from Peugeot, When he worked at Peugeot, he did the radios and the steering wheel and
Yes.
the cockpit electronics.
So here they are. We've shown you this beautiful car. I think is something very special here at BBM because he's a beginning of a big era for the team and a beautiful one because we all love this car. Particularly, I do a lot because I have a story with it as driving it. But I am very proud to see it back on track, shining again, ready to roar, and to see anybody who drive this car, I'm so happy that somebody can experience what I've experienced.